we can always backtrack if anybody joins as well, if they have questions later on.
Yeah.
So let's just hop in. All right, so all about consumer tips, and there we go. My name is Sarah. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat, or at the very end of the presentation, you can turn on your mic or turn on your camera and ask them either way, and I'd be happy to answer them. So jumping in, a little bit about BBB. We are BBB serving Western Virginia. We are an unbiased nonprofit organization. A lot of individuals think that we are government affiliated with the Bureau at the last of our name, so it makes sense, but we are a nonprofit organization. We are located all across North America. We have BBBs in Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Over all BBBs is the International Association of Better Business Bureaus, IABBB, part of our governing body and board. The local office is in Roanoke, and we do serve 32 surrounding counties and cities, so it's about a 2.5 to 3 hour radius, and which is great right now with all of our wonderful season change. As you can see on the right side picture of part of the valley. We have bbb.org, which is our main website, and hopefully you all have used our services before, gone to BBB, looked up business profiles. On there you can type in, and I'll go over it later on, you'll see the example, but type in a business name or a category of business, and then view profiles that have businesses accreditation. If they're BBB accredited, they'll have the BBB rating, and all businesses receive a BBB rating. You do not have to be accredited to receive it. The rating scale is A+ through F, just like in grade school. We also have news articles, tips, and more on the website. We also have the Institute for Marketplace Trust, which houses all of our educational programs, just like this. And we have national programs as well that you can look into online. And then we have the BBB Wise Giving Alliance, which is actually another topic that I give a lot around this year, because the season of giving is upon us as well. So not only are we buying, but we are also giving. And our BBB Wise Giving Alliance is all about the charity review process and making sure consumers know more about the charities that they're wanting to give to, wanting to donate to. So you can go online either at bbb.org or give.org and look up charities. So this is an example of our webpage. You can look for the business or the category of business or the charity by typing in their name in the search field. You also can put in the city or state or zip code that you are located in or trying to look for the business, and it will populate all of the businesses we have in our database. Online, you can also file a complaint, which is our dispute resolution process. Earlier, I mentioned that we are an unbiased nonprofit organization, and this is most definitely where the unbiased third party comes in. We are not necessarily for the business nor for the consumer. We are the mediator, the middleman, wanting to find the best resolution for both parties involved. You can also leave a review online. We do have reviews that are out of 5 stars, 5 being the best, 1 being our lowest star rating. And you can also look at our latest news. So there are going to be news articles, scam alerts, which whenever we receive information about a scam or we know of a scam that comes up every season, we will send out a scam alert to not only our websites, but our news stations in our service area, making sure that individuals know what is going on, and hopefully that that press release will be picked up and then distributed to the consumers. And they can then be warned about a certain scam that's happening, saying, oh, please be aware this scam is currently going on. It's targeting this demographic or this area. Here are the scam tactics, the warning signs, red flags. So it's really helpful when we can have that information out there for businesses and consumers alike. We also have tip articles, as you can see. So it's this time of year, so how to shop small and small business Saturday that's coming up, Black Friday and Cyber Monday shopping tips, which we'll go over some of the online shopping tips here, but our articles even have more specific tips as well. And this is our BBB Accredited Business Seal. Hopefully you've seen this seal around town or online on different businesses' websites. When you see the accredited business seal, that means the business has agreed to uphold these standards for trust, which we have a whole list online if you want to read more about it. But it's making sure that the business has integrity, it's honoring its promises to its consumers. It is making sure that their privacy policies are stated, that they're advertising honestly as well. So you know that a business is adhering to the integrity that it says it has when you see the accredited business seal. This is also an example of what the A+ rating looks like. We also have our Bbb Scam Tracker, and this is probably one of my favorite things that Bbb has and offers to everyone for free. It is online, and I'll pull up the URL in just a moment. It is a live scam tracking map and database that people can report a scam to. In the top right corner, you can go online, and if you have been a victim of or targeted by a scam, even if it's just a phone call, you can put it in and put in the information, and it will show up on our live heat map, which is really great because if you receive a phone call and you're like, wow, or if you're online and you're like, this sounds really great, but something seems a little bit off, I'm a little bit wary, I wonder if other individuals have seen this before and if it's a scam. So you can go in and search for a keyword, like let's say it's the Social Security office calling you. You can search for Social Security, and then it'll show up any scams that are involving somebody impersonating the Social Security office. You can see down at the bottom, it shows the date of the scam type, where that scam was, any dollars lost, and you can even view more details. A cool thing that you can do as well is put in your location. So if I put in Roanoke, it will zoom in and show scams that are currently happening in your area. So you can click into those and see what's a prevalent scam that's going on now. You can also call into Bbb and report a scam if you do not want to go online, and we can put it in our scam tracker as well. But this is our scam tracker URL, so bbb.org/scam tracker. And all of the information that we receive from our scam tracker helps us create studies and reports that we then turn into educational resources. We then send all the information over to law enforcement agents as well, so it can better help them and other government organizations. And normally this is where I would ask what kind of scams you've encountered, but since we are doing online scams, let's jump right in to online purchase scams. So what is an online purchase scam? I think most individuals have either heard about it before or maybe even experienced one. It typically involves a purchase of product or services where the transaction occurs via website or an online means like social media. So if you're scrolling and you see an ad, you click into that ad and then you later purchase it. And you unfortunately find out that either the company is fake, so you pay for a product or service that never arrives, or you pay for a product or service and when you receive it, you're like, wait a minute, this is definitely not what was advertised online. It's a lot lower quality or counterfeit product. One of the biggest things that we always encourage individuals to do before purchasing is to research. Get more information. We always say you can call Bbb, ask us if the business that you're dealing with or the website is legitimate. And so that's where not only how you search, but where you search is important. Because if you just type in to a search engine a specific product you want, or even a name of a business, if there is a scammer that's created a website that is either one, selling the product that you typed in, or two, using a very similar name or has copied the name of the business, and if you click on it, you could just go immediately into the hands of the scammer. So we always say that where you search is important as well. You can't just rely on website search or search results, and to definitely be careful about social media, because even though social media platforms try to do their best when regulating the advertisements, sometimes false ads, fake ads do slip through. And or that friend that might be saying, this is a great product, and they're posting about it, or maybe it's an influencer that's posting about it, could also be, unfortunately, have fallen for a really, really great deal or a really, really great business, and it's actually a scam. Or they could be hacked and putting out information that is false. I had a friend just this past week who was hacked, and on Instagram, she was sending messages saying that her husband was selling the PS5, which is brand new. A lot of people wanted to get their hands on it. And so it's an in-demand product, and it turns out it was a hacker that had gone into her account and started posting about it. And with that, we could report the account, but unfortunately she lost access to it, and hopefully none of her friends fell for it, because she was really good about saying, wait a minute, this isn't me, please don't respond to this person. Another thing that a lot of people look into and then trust is customer reviews. And as great as customer reviews are, it's really hard to tell what a fake versus a real customer review is. And so we'll go on a little bit more about that. And then lastly, online payment systems. It is great that you can pay online, and there are a lot of platforms and a lot of great platforms out there that you can use that, as the third party to purchase from a business. But sometimes those platforms are either fake and or they house scammers that are using the platform to make an easy buck. One moment. There we go. So a little bit about our research findings from this past year. We had a 2021 online purchase report, which all of our findings came from a combination of Scam Tracker and then educational institutions that we've worked with. And the first is that more than 35% of scams reported in 2021 were online purchase scams, with 75% of those who were targeted losing money. So not only are online purchase scams the riskiest scam and make up a large portion of scams reported, but the majority of individuals who come in contact with this scam are losing money. Next is that ages 18 to 24 are more likely to report losing money and even lost more money than other age groups. A lot of times, the younger demographic think that they are untouchable in the web universe, in the internet world, because they're on the web a lot, they've grown up with the internet, they feel extremely comfortable, and because they feel comfortable, you don't question things, you're not wary of, wait a minute, this seems a little bit weird. They feel like they understand the internet, so they're going to be more likely, unfortunately, to report losing money and being targeted. 50% of those who reported not actively searching for products while on Facebook lost money. So this isn't just people who are searching for a specific thing or going online to purchase something. Individuals just scrolling through social media. When you see those ads, a lot of people are easily influenced to click on that ad and say, wow, that's such a great deal, or wow, that product looks really great. A lot of times these ads are targeted towards your interests. So if you have clicked on a lot of advertisements or web pages or articles or interacted with videos about baseball and you love hats, you're going to start seeing a lot of baseball ads that are geared towards you because you've made either purchases in the past or you have made it clear that those are interests. And what you can do to prevent targeted ads is online, whether it's the web browser you're using, like Google, Yahoo, etc., or if it is a social media platform, you should be able to go into settings and go into the ad sections and decide whether or not you want targeted ads, and if you want them learning more about your viewing habits and interactions. Next is that 47% who reported actively searching for a product or business via Google search did lose money. So we see that it's still pretty, oops, so sorry if I'm about to sneeze, apologies. I feel like coming on, I just know it. Oh, let's see, it'll probably go away. 47% of those reported. So these are individuals that are actively searching for a product. And we see that because they're actively searching, they're doing more research into that product. So that does help individuals on the front end of not being scammed, but it's still a very high percentage of people who are trying to purchase something and they are falling victim to a scam. And lastly, those using bbb.org or Bbb Scam Tracker for their research were less likely to report losing money. So that's something we are extremely proud of. We say that when you are researching or searching for products, that it matters where you're doing your research. And this is why. So organizations at bbb.org, Bbb Scam Tracker, I mentioned some more later on, but these are places that are trusted, that do have vetted reports on businesses, vetted customer reviews as well. So a little bit more data about shopping intention. This was how actively were you searching for the product at this time of the scam. Going over the summary before, these are individuals who are actively shopping, about the same lost money as those who didn't lose money when they were targeted by a scammer. Passively browsing, it's less, and then not looking at all, you still, because they're not looking for anything exactly, they're less likely to interact with the fake scam or the fake business or the fake advertisement. Top platforms that were reported. So where did you first learn about this product or business? So where did they learn about the business that ended up being a scam? So this was actively shopping. So this is going online, searching for a specific product, which then led them to a fake website and a fake business. And that was and so you see that this is Google, just putting it in the search engine. Next up, for just passively browsing, I mentioned just going through social media and then clicking on ads. So you see that Facebook was the highest, and then individuals not looking at all, Facebook again, the highest astronomically. It's those advertisements that you see, that you click, that will lead you to another website. And a lot of the times people, since they're not actually searching, they're not doing the research beforehand, and they're just trusting the advertisement immediately. Next up is top payment methods. So these are the top payment methods that individuals were that used to purchase the either fake or counterfeit product. The top being credit card, and the next being online payment system. Now with this, a lot of people then say, oh, well, credit card obviously must not be that safe. But I will say, though there is not a safe form of payment, because there's always a likelihood that you could fall victim to a scam, there are more measures put in place to protect you when you're using a credit card. Since it's not the immediate transfer of money, like a debit card or a prepaid card or a wire transfer or cash or check, because even with a check, there is that time between where they have to cash it, but as soon as they cash the check, the money's gone. Whereas for the credit card, it is not a direct transfer of money. There's a little bit of wiggle room in between. Most credit cards that offer credit cards have structures in place and fraud departments that you can call and say, my credit card was charged fraudulently, please stop the payment, or if you can get the payment back. And then they can also say that to never, to mark off that business or the company or the scammer, make sure that they can't have access to your account later on, so they can't charge it again. They also have structures in place where you do not have to take an active part. So I have it set up where if my credit card is used outside of Virginia, that it will let me know and alert me, because I live in Virginia, so my credit card shouldn't be going elsewhere. So it's great if you are planning to travel, you can let your bank know, but these are structures in place that they should notice, wait a minute, this is a very high amount of money that's being used, and that's not like you. We should call the customer and see if this is actually them. So these are the top payment systems. You saw that the top payment systems was the second largest form of payment that individuals who were scammed were using. The left graph is the percent of reports by payment system. So this is how often individuals are reporting using that platform to pay for something that later turned out to be a scam or counterfeit product. And then the right graph is the median dollar loss by payment system. So you can see PayPal being one of the most used forms, and that is because it is extremely prevalent with businesses using it. So of course there's going to be a high influx because there are a lot of individuals who are using it. Zelle is one where it's a wire transfer, and we always say that if you do not know the individual, do not wire money to them. The same with Cash App or Venmo or any other app that you're sending money automatically. If you don't know the individual, you have not met them prior, or you're not meeting them now, I always say just don't do it. But if you have to do it, be very careful. Look into the business that you're working with before you actually send them the money. So what are some of the top reasons for purchasing? We found that the biggest one is that it was a sale or discount or lower price. We know going into the holiday season that there are going to be a lot of in-demand items, and this ties into availability of item as well. So a lot of items that are going to be big money, like the tech industry, so any kind of phone, smart device, you see a sale, you think, wow, this is an amazing price, and that's what gets people to click. If we always say that if the price seems so low, it's 50% off, nowhere else is selling it at this price. Your large brand name businesses that you've heard of before are all selling it at $1,000, and this website's selling it for $300. That's probably a red flag. They wouldn't be selling it at $300 if they could easily get a higher asking price, because they want to get as much money as possible for the product. And so it doesn't make sense to discount it at that much off. Next up was website images. They looked extremely convincing. This happens a lot with puppy scams, and I'll talk a little bit later on about those. But online pet scams, they'll show a photo of the pet and you're like, wow, it's a real dog. I can see the dog. But really, those website images are actually being used across multiple platforms. A scam platform could have taken that same image from a real website and put it into their website. So we always suggest that if you are looking at a website image, you can copy that image and then go to Google and type in a reverse image search, and it can help you do a reverse image search of whatever image. And if you search for that image, and then you see other websites are using it as well, that's a big red flag that image is probably just being used and it's not actually a legitimate product or a legitimate pet, or even, and it's just a fake website and a fake business. Next up is the availability of item. I mentioned earlier, not only the sale discount, but with in-demand items, people are trying to find it and they're like, wow, okay, they have this item. I see it, let me just get it now before it's gone. So be very careful if you are trying to search for something, searching last minute. Scammers will take advantage of people needing the product now. And not looking into the business or who's selling the product and just automatically adding the cart and going. Next up was advertisement, that it looked legitimate and it was easily accessible. So I've mentioned multiple times now on social media, just scrolling through, you see the advertisement, it looks legitimate, so people click into it. What I say about that is if you see the advertisement, if it lists the business, that's a pretty good sign. If it doesn't list the business and it only has a product, that's a red flag there. Because why would the business not want brand recognition? So if you see the business and if you see the product type and you see the price, don't click on the ad. Instead, go to a search engine and type all of that information in and see what actually comes up. Or go to the legitimate website of the advertiser and see what they're actually selling it for instead of clicking into that ad. And then lastly, the other factor that that convinced people to purchase was the positive customer review. They saw an overwhelming amount of great customer reviews, which normally sounds really good, but we know that there are a lot of fake reviews out there and it's extremely hard to tell the difference. So these are factors that were considered before purchasing, and these are the top factors that survey responders who avoided losing money considered before making the purchase. So these are great things to keep in mind before you actually purchase something. And the first is that it doesn't have listed contact information. So if you are on a website, the company should say not only who they are, but how you can contact them in case there's something wrong with your order, or if you have questions. That should include a phone number and an email address, if not multiple phone numbers and email addresses. And it shouldn't be a generic Gmail or Yahoo email address. Normally they would be using their website name, so check for that. If it is a small business, they might have a more generic email address. In that case, definitely call if you can go to the store physically just to make sure it's actually legitimate and not a fake website online. But if they don't have contact information, if they don't have an address listed, that is a red flag, because for address, you should be able to copy the address, put it in a search engine and pull up maps. So I always put it in Google Maps. I pull up where the business says they are, and then I go to Street View. If the Street View shows me a house in a neighborhood instead of a large corporation, that's a red flag. If it shows a just a shipping, and a lot of times it'll come up as an Amazon shipping address. And I'm like, that's a little bit weird because that's not your address for the business. So that's a way you can check to make sure the business is legitimate. Next up is a visible return policy. If they do not tell you, if the business does not tell you how you can return the product, and they don't have the return policy, the terms and conditions, or privacy policy, that should be a red flag. Because how do you know what exactly you can do after you've purchased and you either didn't receive it or received the product? And be sure to read the fine print. A lot of times companies will put that you're signing up for a subscription in the fine print, and you don't notice it, so you've given them access to your credit card and your information, and then you start seeing a charge every month. The next up was that Bbb Accredited Business Seal. Individuals who saw this seal when they were searching, this helped them make sure that they were dealing with a reputable business and that they did not lose money. And you can always, just because you see the seal, does not necessarily mean that it is an accredited business, unfortunately. You might need to go into bbb.org and actually look up the business, because we have had individuals try to use our seal and our logo saying they're an accredited business and then it being false. Next up was the website using simple language and correct spelling. This is a great way to go in and make sure that it is legitimate. If you are seeing a lot of spelling errors, grammatical errors, if it looks like things are copy and pasted, those are all red flags. And so that's a good way to look through and make sure it's a legitimate website. And then lastly, positive customer reviews. Notably, reading customer reviews was the only factor reported by more survey responders who lost money than those who avoided losing money. So though this was helpful, as I've stated numerous times, it's really hard to tell the difference between a fake and a real review. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So a big one that always comes up around the holidays is puppy scams. Pet and pet supplies was the riskiest scam category according to the 2020 Bbb Scam Tracker risk report. Almost 35% of all online purchase scam reports were pet related. 70% of those who reported a puppy scam or a pet scam lost money. And the average dollar amount that people lost were $750. So it is a high ticket scam, unfortunately. And we always suggest you either searching locally for a puppy or a pet at your local animal shelter first, or if you are going online to look for a very specific breed, make sure you look for the seals, their accreditation from different organizations, do background check on that business, look online at bbb.org and Scam Tracker, see if that business has already been reported, or if it has an F rating by BBB. These are things to definitely check before you try to get a cute fur friend for your family and it ends up being a false fur friend, a fake fur friend, and then everyone's disappointed. So these are the most common counterfeit products and brands. You have footwear, you can see the brands to the right, apparel, digital devices, especially around the holidays when you're buying gifts for yourself and or others, luggage and handbags. So you see a lot of times it's name brand items that are going to be offered at a extreme discount, and people hop onto that immediately because they're like, great, this is what I really wanted, and this is at an amazing price. So why would I not do it? Most online purchase scams resulted from the buyer never receiving a product. So that was 74% of individuals, but then 13% reported receiving a fake or counterfeit product like these. And we know that there's an increased risk of online purchase scams during the holiday seasons. So we are coming up to that right now. And this is that scammers, though they always use different product categories to try to perpetuate their scams, the risk to online shoppers rise every single year around these times, with more people making online purchases and scammers paying very close attention to the most sought after items. So they will use the scam tactics of availability and the sale and discount to try to entice individuals. Another thing to be very careful with is free trial offers online. This is especially with the new year coming up or around the holidays when you are eating a lot of food. And so people will try to lose weight, and they try to do medical or nutritional products, skincare products, and a wide range of other products are often promoted as free trial offers. And this often comes with fine print that is hidden either in the on the order page, or it is behind a link that gives people only a short window to receive, evaluate, and then return the product. And you are charged for that. In addition, the same hidden information also then says that you are actually signing up and agreeing to a monthly order and monthly shipments of the product with fees that are then charged to your credit card. And in many cases, it's difficult to contact the seller to stop reoccurring charges or to halt shipments and then to get refunds. These types of offers are often advertised using fake celebrity endorsements with exaggerated claims of success. And many are related to claims of improved looks or anti-aging, whether that's skin care, skin creams, vitamins, or supplements, hair growth formulas, performance enhancers, etc. So be very careful of too good to be true offers if it's a miracle product. So how do you protect yourself against scams? We've gone over the scam tactics, right? All the common products, the common scams that are out there. So what do you do to make sure that you're safe while searching online? The first things we're going to go over are protective factors and behaviors. So knowledge about online purchase scams appears to provide some protection to consumers in the most, with 68% of those who avoided losing money have been aware of online purchase scams. So what we're doing right now, and by listening and participating, is one of the best ways to protect yourself from scams, and specifically online purchase scams. So if you can now go from this meeting and telling friends and families all about it, this presentation will be recorded. You can share it with others. That is the best way to help protect others, is to have them even be aware of the scam itself and some common tactics that they use. Next up was that 52% of survey respondents said that they avoided losing money because they felt that something was not right about the situation, and they listened to their gut, they listened to their intuition. So if you think that something might be too good to be true, or something seems off, or maybe the communication you're having with a company is just a little weird, listen to yourself and do a little bit more research. Don't just say, oh, no, I'm being silly. Next, other key factors that helped were third-party intervention. So this is by organizations such as banks or a credit card company, or even a store clerk who if you're buying, let's say you're buying lots of gift cards for something, or you're cashing a check, these individuals say, wait a minute, something might be wrong. And those who listened to those third-party organizations that were trying to intervene did not lose out on the money and did not fall victim to the scammer. And then finally, searching for information about the business. And we talked about where you can do research. You can call it BBB. You can go to bbb.org. Make sure you do multiple searches online to see and compare products. And I mentioned before, but those who use bbb.org or Bbb Scam Tracker for the research were less likely to report losing money. So it is extremely important that you do research before buying, and it's important who you talk to. So let's go into a little bit about fake customer reviews. We have had multiple, our survey respondents, we had BBB test out their ability to discern real from fake reviews. Both respondents who lost money and then those who did not lose money had the same accuracy score of a 36%. And now I'm going to see if you all can do a little bit better than that. So let's find out. So this is review number 1. And we'll take a moment to read it. Don't get all the negative reviews. We have a lot of information. Ordered boots on May 10th. They've put more information about their communication with the company, how quickly they responded, and if they would buy it in the future. So what do we think this might be? Maybe yes, no, real, fake review. If you said real, you are correct. So let's do review number 2. So was skeptical when purchased this product, but glad I gave it a try. I used to color my gray every 3 weeks minimum, but it sure helped to extend time between coloring. It mainly helps around the hairlines, but it stains sinks and countertops, etc. So be careful to wipe if you have a light color sink. So we see this. We see that there are some grammatical errors, no capitalization. We're missing just a couple of words here and there, like an A or a V. What do we think this might be? We've talked about how it works, but there are some side effects. If you guessed fake, you would be correct. Next up, number 3. So using the product for quite some time. We see that they admit that they're slightly disappointed with the product because it hasn't solved everything, but they're still pleased enough. They say they like the product. What are we thinking? We think it might be real, might be fake. If you guessed real, you're correct. For this one, a lot of times, personally, I wouldn't think that somebody who is putting in a fake review would say any bad parts of the product. So that would be an indicator that it might be real. Let's do number 4. So this is a specific person that this individual worked with, Monique Yu. We've shared a few laughs throughout the call, and she noticed something on my account she wanted to verify, put me at ease. So we talked about the interaction that they've had, very specific interaction and very specific details. Do we think that this is a real or fake review? If you guessed real, you'd be correct. So next up, 5, ordered 2 t-shirts for a friend's birthday gift. One was great, the other awful. The print was blurred and undefined, not the sort of thing you could gift. So we've talked about having a poor experience, and they contacted them and they offered free replacement. It also says that it arrived within 4 days to the UK. So impressed with the service I received in the company, and the new design is perfect. I would highly recommend this company. So looking at it, you're like, well, they mentioned some not so great parts of the original purchase, but then they fixed it. So what do we think this might be? Real or fake? I think a lot of people would probably guess real, because I mentioned earlier on that why would they talk about a poor experience they had with the company? Why would it all be great? But it is actually fake. So I think this one's one that would trip a lot of people up. Just a few more left, so 6. Tried so far, only a few months off 50. They describe in vivid detail the lackluster of skin problems that they've been experiencing. Mentioned how great the product's been working. They just ordered a very specific product and they can't wait for it to arrive. So what do we think this might be? Real or fake? If you guessed fake, you'd be correct. I think this is another one where some people might have some difficulty discerning. So next up, 7. Love City Lips. I was so skeptical. This ad on Instagram, could it be this good? So we're seeing a lot of increased punctuation. We're really excited. We do see some grammar issues. What do we think this one might be? They seem extremely excited about the product. If you guessed real, you'd be correct. So this is one I think also would trip a lot of people up, because we've talked about that you need to look for spelling and grammar. Well, we know some individuals make mistakes, and we also know that they have a different way of showing how excited they are about something. Here's number 8. And if you're starting to see a pattern that it is hard to discern between real or fake reviews, that is the whole point of this. So even if you think that you might know and you're looking out for certain things, or you're like, wow, that's something that I don't think a real person would say, it's really hard to distinguish. So this is shipment came more quickly than expected. After reading some bad reviews, they got nervous, talked about it, but they are happy with the company and they would use them again. Do we think that is real or fake? If you said real, you'd be correct. And the last 2, looked all over and found this company that gave a respectable discount. It was lower than the rates I found elsewhere. Okay, so in previous things I have said that if it's something that is of a sought after item, which it sounds like it, and it's lower rates, might be a red flag. And shipping was faster than expected. Customer service outstanding, buy from them again. What do we think, real or fake? It is fake. And then last but not least, I don't normally buy clothes from online sites, but when I try to shop at the store, it works perfectly, have a great selection, and they would highly recommend to any online shoppers. Do we think that this is a real or fake review? If you guessed fake, it would be correct. And really, it is hard to tell. Part of the time, you're right, but we know from research that individuals who lost money, as well as those who didn't, guessed about the same, and they could discern between a real or fake review. The only difference of those that were able to avoid the online purchase scam were they were a bit more confident, just barely, in their capacity to identify a fake review. But this confidence proved not justifiable. Instead of trying to identify which reviews to trust, we suggest starting with Trust Online. So start with Trust Online by checking organizations such as BBB or bbb.org or calling us. The other great thing about BBB reviews is that we do vet the reviews first before posting to ensure that they are actual individuals who were customers of that business. So what can you do about websites and making sure that websites are legitimate? First is don't believe everything you see. Check the URL and make sure it's secure. Next, watch for bad grammar, language, if things are misspelled. Those are all key signs that the website might not be legitimate. Research for age of domain, which I will show you in the next slide. And then I mentioned before, search for contact information. So for websites, what you can do to search for age of domain and also to make sure it's secure. So we're going to first check the URL in the top left corner. It should have an HTTPS, S stands for secure. It should also have a lock icon. So what you can do to check the age of domain is if you click into the lock icon, you click in, what will come up is the connection is secure or connection is not secure. You then click on the certificate valid, that first option, and what will pop up are 2 certificates. And so this is how you can check the age of domain. Down at the very bottom, on the left one, you see that it's valid from. This is an example of a Windows, so HP computer. On the right side is a Mac example, and it's not valid before, not valid after. We see that in both of these instances, it's about a 2-year validity date, and that's what you're looking for is longevity. So 1 year, great, 2 year, really great. If you see a domain that was created just yesterday, probably a red flag. If you see one that's only for 3 months, another indicator that it's probably a scam, and you should do a little bit more research and be very hesitant with purchasing. Also be very careful of just trusting what's on the website. They can make the website say what and look however they want. Another thing you can do to further check the domain is right-click anywhere on the web page, click on View Page Source, and what will pop up is this HTML code. I do not know how to code. I don't know how to read code, so you do not have to either to use this. What you're looking for, I call it the first paragraph, is going to be the website URL, and it should be a pretty short URL. It should have the HTTPS It should show the website that is the same as the URL that you went to, and it shouldn't be 18 miles long. Be very careful of if it said ever.bright instead of Everbright. It might be a website that is trying to fake the website, and they're hoping that you don't catch that very brief little change in their name. So what about phishing? This is through phishing emails that you probably will receive, or phone calls. Maybe you have an account or you've signed up online for a business and you're getting coupons and sale alerts. But how do you know if it's actually legitimate or not? The first thing you should do is to never follow any links in the message. Be very careful with, do not click on links on the hyperlink. You don't want them to take you to a page that's not legitimate. And I'll show you how to check that. And same with the URL. If you do end up going to the link, make sure it's actually a legitimate and secure website. Be cautious about opening any attachments or downloading files. You don't know what exactly you are downloading. It could be a virus. Never reply to a message if it asks for personal or financial information within the message, and then be very wary of any person or company asking for your username and password to verify an account. So how do we check to see if the email is from the right person? So at the top, we see that this is supposed to be from Apple, saying that we need to validate your account. Well, what you can do is click on the name of, click on who it's actually from, and it should pop up with the real email that is sending you an email. So just because it says Sarah Lutz does not actually mean it's Sarah Lutz from BBB. It could be somebody trying to fake out my friends, or fake out somebody that is that has contacted me. So you need to be very careful who actually is sending the email. The next is to look for grammatical errors, spelling, errors in branding. It says iTunes with a capital T, but then it has lowercase later on. A real company would not make these mistakes. They pay a lot of money, pay a lot of people good money to not make these mistakes. The other is we don't want to click on any hyperlinks. So how do we know where a hyperlink is taking us? So that Get Started is a hyperlink that this email is trying to take us to. If you hover over, so do not click, but if you hover over the hyperlink, what will pop up and should pop up is the real URL that it's taking you to. So that is how you can just double check and make sure that it is actually going to the real Apple website. And it's not actually going to iTunes. It is just a fake website, a random link that they're sending you to that you hopefully will put your information in. So these are some tips on how to stay safe online. Just kind of going over everything we've talked about. Don't make purchase decisions based only on customer reviews. Do more research on products found online. Don't just automatically assume that this is the product, this is the best price you're going to get and it's legitimate. The research source is important as well. You can also go to Google Safe Browsing, and Google Safe Browsing will help you make sure that what you're looking for is actually legitimate. Out of 9,821 untrustworthy website URLs that were reported to Bbb Scam Tracker, only 11 were found in Google Safe Browsing. So if those individuals who were looking online had used Google Safe Browsing, they would have not even been given that URL, and that website is an option to purchase from. Next is that if the deal looks too good to be true, it probably is. If it sounds too good, listen to your intuition. Say, wait a minute, something might be a little bit off here. Be careful of purchasing sought after products. We've talked about this. If it's something that is you can't find it anywhere else, a lot of people will just automatically click it and say, "Oh, I need to have it. I don't want to miss out." Avoid making quick purchase decisions while browsing social media. More than half of survey respondents lost money while browsing online or on social media. So be more intentional when you're with your online purchases to avoid scams. Also using safe and secure transactions. This is those who paid with a credit card or PayPal were less likely to lose money and more likely to recover their funds, because the credit card companies, banks, PayPal have multiple protections in place to help you receive your funds back if you unfortunately encounter a scammer. We've talked about choosing online payment systems carefully, and then also don't believe everything you see. What happens if you already encountered a scam? What can you do to recover from a scam. First, you can file a police report and then if they say that they cannot take the report for some reason, they'll probably send you to BBB, so that way you can report it to us. We will put it into our scam tracker and then also give you a list of resources if need be, or the next steps that you can do. Contact your credit card companies and bank. Hopefully you used your credit card, so that way there were protections in place. But even if you used your debit card, or even if you did a wire transfer, still talk to your bank company and credit card company. Let them know that your card might be compromised or your account might be compromised. Check with your post office. If you are supposed to be getting bills in the mail or account balances in the mail and you aren't receiving it, it might be because somebody changed your forwarding address and they are now getting all of that information instead of you. If you're worried about your credit report and your credit score, you can contact your creditors and credit bureau's fraud departments, let them know what happened, and you might need to put a freeze on your credit. And then you can always ask for copies of your credit report routinely. Every single person can ask for their credit report 3 times a year. So we always suggest every 4 months, and just be checking to make sure that nobody has your identity or is using your accounts. You want to make sure that your credit score only reports what your marketplace interactions have been and not scammers. Another great resource, or if you have been a victim of identity theft, you can go to consumer.gov/ID theft, call that number and report it to the Federal Trade Commission so they can help you recover your identity. And then the 3 free credit reports a year I talked about, how you can get those is going to annualcreditreport.com. So that is the only place that you would be able to go to make sure that you're getting your free 3 credit reports. And those are the 3 companies that it should be through. And that is everything. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to answer them. You can email info at, it's actually supposed to be at bbb.roanoke.org. So my apologies there. So it should be info at bbb.roanoke.org. And let me just update this. bbb. Wait, actually, on wrong way. There we go. There we go. Okay, now we have it. Let me go back to sharing so that way you guys can have it as well. Sorry for the slight mix up there. Don't want to give you the wrong information. There we go. info@roanoke.bbb.org, or call that phone number and we would be happy to answer any questions you might have. And thank you so very much for coming. And I see there's a chat that says very informative. Thank you. I'm glad. Hopefully you've learned some new not so fun facts, but very important facts and about scams and how to not fall victim to one. So thank you for coming and thank you for having me.